Oh, I just had to record this game. It's totally fantastic. I think you might enjoy it as well. So, first of all, I'm playing something new. It's actually something old. My opponent, Rich Wade, is at the bottom of the screen, thanks to Magic Online's playback glitch, and this is my hand. If you'll notice, it's not Queen, it's not New Queen. It is Edric. I realized the more I played, first of all, changing from the Control Queen deck to the New Queen deck, added a bunch of creatures in the deck, and what I realized is that outside of a few key creatures like Sarah, Ascendant, and Dark Confidant, basically, the majority of the deck was already green-blue, and so what I was doing was bending my mana base in order to get some of those other, Stoneforge and stuff like that into the deck. But I was giving up consistency, and I was losing some other powerful things that I could be doing, like things like Wirewood Hive Master Skull Clamp, for example. So what I realized, though, is that almost every time I played the game, I would tutor for Edric in that game. And because of that, I realized I probably just wanted to be playing Edric. And so I've built an Edric deck, based partially on Brian Weissman's deck, and partially on his feedback, and then partially on my own impulses. My deck is a little more controlling than Brian's. If you've seen, I have put up another video, and if you've seen it, you'll see that actually some changes have occurred in this one, and I will show you what they are at the end of the game. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of, as you can see, I'm accelerating through the first couple of turns. Opponent plays Rada Air to Keld. I have to play a Gaze Cradle, but I can't cast my Skull Clamp because I only have the Cradle. And here I play a Simic Growth Chamber, and I have to discard. So I was really thinking about what to discard here. I don't want to discard Hive Master Skull Clamp combo. That's just too good. I don't really want to discard Bloom Tender because he's going to power up the Hive Master when he hits, and then he's going to be mana production. Also Hive Master, of course, Cradle. So I really want to keep this. I want to keep Cradle. I want to keep Force of Will. I have to keep a blue card. I want to keep Skull Clamp. So it's either, really at this point, Winter Orb, Treachery, or Spell Pierce to discard. And thinking about all three, I decided that, and I decided incorrectly, actually, but because he had a mana guy, and I figured he was probably going to play some kind of a ramp deck, I decided to discard Winter Orb. And bitterly regretted it later. I was thinking he would just ramp up into some fatties, and I would treachery whatever it was, and take control of the game. And I wanted to have Force of Will with Treachery so that I could Spell Pierce as well, in a backup plan. So look what he does. Lay Waste. So, Land Destruction's a terrible, terrible strategy, but at least that kind. Winter Orb kind is different, but here I actually have to Force a Will or I'm going to lose. And I was still thinking he was just... I thought maybe since it has cycling, this was just sort of a random card in his deck. It wasn't like a theme. So I went ahead and let the Spell Pierce go, thinking that I would have use for the Treachery later. Another mistake. So I set this game out making a couple of different mistakes, really. So I get down Hive Master and I cast the Clamp because, I can. And it turns out that this Land Destruction is his theme. So now I've got a Cradle and a Hive Master. Interestingly, he didn't choose to kill the Growth Chamber. I was pretty happy about that, but really needed to draw a land here, and oh, thank goodness I do. So down comes Bloom Tender, and I get a creature for my Clamp. Obviously, Cradle has suddenly become more powerful than the Growth Chamber. I figured it wasn't long for the board, and I was right. Kills it with Seismic Spike. And then with the 2 mana from the Spike, he's able to Creeping Mold my other lands. So at this point I have no lands. It's not too good. So I tap Bloom Tender and Clamp the Insect. I could have swung first, I didn't really care. This game's not going to come down to that. I find nothing. So I swing afterwards because I got nothing. And luckily he's out of gas, and I figured that meant he had nothing but more land kill. And I still draw nothing good, so I have to clamp the Hive Master. I mean, I really, really don't want to clamp the Hive Master. This is a heck of a combo. But if I don't find mana, I mean, I'm kind of out of the game, right? So I go for it. And look what he's got. He has Fissure and Response on the Hive Master and says, good game. He's won. The game is over. He's just told me that. So I say go. And actually, I was really contemplating conceding here. Well, because he said that, I decided, okay, no, I'm going to kind of focus now. And it frustrated me. It irritated me. It felt very arrogant. So I decided I'm going to focus on what I'm doing here and see if I can beat him. So he plays Terastodon with me having no lands in play. I guess he just doesn't want me to be able to clamp my way back into the game. But he doesn't kill Bloom Tender. And because he wanted to do the tricky Fissure play on the clamp target instead of killing Bloom Tender, which is my mana source, I actually have mana in play right now. And look at that top deck. Perfect. Because... oh my gosh, I figured he was going to LD this, but I could cast Snapcaster and then the Bloom Tender would tap for 2, but look at this Wheel of Fortune. Like, of all the scrubby things the guy could be playing, the only way it's good is if he gets like Soul Ring or Wheel of Fortune. So have a Wheel of Fortune. Alright, so in response I just play my Snap and I target Force of Will, hoping that he doesn't realize that I cannot Force of Will. I cannot actually cast. It gives it flashback for 5, not flashback for the alternate cost. And this is what I drew. And of course he smashes me for 9 and I take it because what are you going to do? Chump blocking just means that he gets to start swinging with elephants on subsequent turns. And he cultivates, so he's ramping even further. So even though I saw this Terastodon thinking like there's a long-term plan, any hope I might have of that really doing much is pretty much over. 7 cards in hand, tons of mana everywhere. So, but he didn't kill land this turn, and I now have 4 mana thanks to the Snapcaster. So, having top decked the Garrick and being very happy about that, I decided to do nothing. And my opponent goes for Terastodon Smash, which is fine. Not terribly fine since I'm dead in 2 turns, but I have to let it through. And then I guess sensing I have a counterspell, he does nothing. So I Mystical Tutor end of turn. And here are all my options. Some bounce spells, Green Sun Zenith, Bribery, Natural Order, Regrowth, like for Cradle, for example, or any of this good stuff. In fact, here's the graveyard. So what do you get? Well, based on what he was playing, I got Bribery. I also figured this is probably one of my only opportunities to Bribery. So I Bribery him. Well, I clicked through it really fast, but basically the best target in there was a Primordial, because it allows me to continue to develop. And I thought about getting Arbor, but instead went for Breeding Pool. Try to solidify. I know he's going to attack my blue, but this will try to solidify my ability to, play my cards. And what he gets is, and I really thought about Arbor just because, like, Arbor Pod. Arbor's just as good in general to have in play. I want it in play whenever I can. Arbor Natural Order if I happen to top deck it. So if you missed that, Boiling Seas, main deck, Boiling Seas. So, oops, guess I should have gotten Arbor. And then an Orcish Settler. So pretty much I'm not going to have any lands. And he swings with just Terastodon, which is great because an Elephant and a Primordial will kill it. And I only lose the Primordial, not the Elephant. He doesn't have quite enough damage. So now I can use this Elephant to hold off Rata and trade with one of these guys, and I'm slowly stabilizing life total wise. So, lucky top deck there. Priest of Titania. And I figured now it's definitely Garrick time. So get down with Garrick into Priest. Say go. I figured he'd swing with some combination of whatever he has in play. I'm going to minimize this exiled. Going after Garrick. I could trade an elephant for an elephant, a Snapcaster for Rata. I could let the elephant hit Garrick, and then I still get a Garrick around for the next turn. Or I could trade elephant for elephant, Snapcaster chumps, take 2 off a Garrick, and then I can make an elephant on the following turn and still have a Garrick in play. Either one of those plays, depending on how I was feeling about it. So I figured, okay, 8 mana. I had seen most of his deck. I'm sorry that I fast forwarded through it so much, but I figured at first he was just going to Orcish Settler me. But then he's tapping 10 mana, and I was like, wow, don't tell me he had Kozilek in his hand when I bribered him, and that's why I couldn't go and fetch it. But what he has is a Steel Hellkite, which is definitely bad. And Wreak Havoc. Can't be countered, destroy target artifact or land. For whatever reason, instead of just Orcish settling both of them and saving this for like a Soul Ring or something if I draw it, he makes that play. Okay. And I draw right on time Metamorph. And the funny thing is I was sitting there thinking I'm going to have to pod into a solution for Hellkite. And I just rip the perfect answer for it right off the top. So, first things first, Metamorph is Hellkite. Secondly, since I now have one solution for Hellkite, I go for answer number 2. And I actually have to Garrick his land because I didn't realize this before, but Garrick forces you to target 2 lands. You cannot untap 1 land. It's 2 or nothing. It's kind of an interesting thing. And all that damage you did to me earlier is kind of getting scary since I'm now at 9. And I pot away my Snapcaster, which sucks because Bloom Tender will now produce 1 less mana. But it was that or Priest or Bloom Tender, and I wasn't going to kill one of those. So here are my options. And I go get Eternal Witness. And I witness Force of Will, because I like my board position. I figure I'll be trading Hellkites with him. And Garrick's got plenty of tokens, so I'm going to be able to produce elephants. And pretty much the board is stabilized, so I just need to make sure that he can't destabilize it with one of the 3 cards remaining in his hand or something that he top decks. That doesn't. And since he just wasted his Wreak Havoc, which can't be countered, and destroys target artifact over here, I'm figuring Force of Will is going to be pretty valuable at this time. So he gets a land down. That's good. And he decides not to swing at all. Now, here's the thing. If somebody's got an active pod, you really need to at least try to trade with their creatures. You don't want to let them have creatures because creatures are options. But he does. So I draw Elvish Spirit Guide and pod myself away a witness. So I can get Sower on his Hellkite and smash him with Steel Hellkite. And now he's got no blockers, and I can activate Hellkite for 0 and clear out the elephants that he had. And while I'm at it, I go ahead and make a beast. And you notice over here in text I said, did you say good game earlier? Because the whole time I was playing, I was kind of burnt. I was kind of burnt up because he was so arrogant about it, and also because he had it's such a terrible deck and such a terrible strategy, and just to happen to have Wheel of Fortune and Boiling Seas and junk like that, that happens to be good against me at the right time, against the slow hand I kept, I was mad. I was I can't let this scrub guy lose. But then adding his insult to injury was just too much, so I couldn't resist pointing out his arrogance to him. So he draws a card and gives up, I guess knowing because I have Force of Will in my hand. But yeah, So that is I thought that was a pretty crazy game. I actually sent him a tell. I said, that's when you say good game, which, after he scooped. So anyway, and this is why, I think my deck is very similar to Brian's, but different in some ways. And this game was kind of an example of why it's different. I tried to design it to be a control deck first, and the Edric deck second, and I think his is an Edric deck first and a control deck second. And as you can see, I was able to control and win the game from a pretty ridiculous and terrible position, and I never once touched my commander. And I think that makes the deck more lethal, but I may be wrong about that. I'm not sure. I'll be interested in what others think. I just think that having the ability to obviously, in game 2, for example, I went first turn creature, second turn Edric, third turn attack, draw 2 cards, and he just gave up on turn 3. So I mean, having the ability to randomly just destroy somebody with Edric is nice, but I really like the option to win without it. And I don't know, it does slow it down a little bit though. So like I said, I'm interested in others' opinions. Here's the deck list here. I play 1 snow covered and 1 forest just so I can interact with snow permanents if I need to, things I might steal from my opponent. Here's what I've got so far. It's been improved greatly from discussions with Brian. Imperious Perfect's been added, Elvish Archdruid's been added. I took out Amnesia. If you saw the last game, I had Amnesia and it did good things, but ultimately I don't really care about their hand. I'm just trying to control the board. And so, yeah, there is a control combo-y Edric deck, and that's what a game looks like when I don't natural order Trastodon and just destroy them right off the bat. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.